Hi guys, this is a follow-up tutorial to the first one, which will cover all the new feature upgrades since version 1.0. So if you are completely new to AgedFX, then please watch the other video first, which I also link in the description, and then you can proceed with this one. So let's go. First of all, you have to install it, of course, and it's quite the same as it was before, but now you have to go to the extensions tab, and then you can click on install from disk and install it. And then you have to go to the add-ons tab, and here you can set the right path to the additional blend file. But keep in mind, version 1.5 needs at least Blender 4.2. And don't use the old supporting file for it. So if you upgrade to the latest version, then also download the newest supporting file and replace it with the old one if you already used AgedFX before. And if you now go to the add-on tab, you will see a big difference because every section is now foldable. So you can only open what you currently need. Then let's go through it from the top to the bottom. So first of all, you will notice that the current version is now always displayed on the left side, and on the right side you will find a book, and if you click on it you will get to all tutorials related to AgedFX. So if you forget something, then you can always easily find help here. The quick fix area and replace glass area we already know from before, but now we also have a new one called convert drivers. And for what is it for? Before it was a problem if you wanted to render scenes out on machines where AgedFX isn't installed. And that's because you can control many effects directly in the add-on panel. And if the add-on isn't installed and the panel isn't there, it also has no reference anymore for the values. And with this button, you can now delete all drivers and convert the values to static numbers. So for example, I open the shading tab, and then as you can see, we have drivers everywhere so that we can control it directly in the add-on panel like you know it from before. And if I now click on convert to static and OK, then as you can see, all drivers are deleted. And you can change the values still directly here in the shading tab, but not anymore in the panel. So yeah, keep in mind, if you press this button, then you can't control the settings in the add-on panel anymore. So you can only change it in the shading tab directly. So I would only do it if you have set up everything and you want to prepare a scene for a render farm or another PC where the add-on isn't installed or something like that. Further improvements are that you can now also change the dust color if you want, or the dirt color, which consists of two colors which will be mixed together. And you now also have the ability to control the general dirt scale and edge dirt scale separately. But one thing, if you used AgedFX already on an older scene and the nodes were already added, then you would have to add them new, because we now have the separation with the general dirt scale and the edge dirt scale, and otherwise you couldn't control the scaling anymore. But one thing is very important here, you can't just delete it here, because if you delete it and add it directly after it, then the nodes can't be connected right afterwards, because the dirt node has to be imported new from the new file. And it's very easy. You first have to delete it and then go to File, Clean Up and Purge Unused Data, so that the add-on knows that it have to import the dirt node new. And then you can click on Add All, and then as you can see, everything is corrected right, and we have also the new dirt node here. One more thing about color fields of the dust and dirt area, it only affects the colors of the objects that are currently selected. So for example, if I add dust here and change the color, then as you can see, nothing happens. But if I select the object, then also the color changes. And the same for the dirt area. If I change the color here and make the values a bit extreme, show you it better, then as you can see, it changes, and these two colors are mixed together. And so you can make all kind of cool stuff with it. Now we come to the metallic section, and this one is completely new. With that you can give every object a metallic look or metallic imperfections, and it works like the other shading effects before. So you can either select specific objects and add it only to them, or you can add it to all. So in this case I select this object, and as you can see, it instantly gets this metallic look with all the imperfections. Here you also have the ability to change all settings directly in the panel. So for example, we have a separate control for the general metal and for the edge metal. Like this, you can change the edge metal spread here like you want. Yeah, and the other cool thing is you can make everything rusty with just one click. So just select the object and then click on make selected rusty. And then as you can see, it's rusty. And then you can also undo it for every object you have currently selected. And then it's normal metal again. And then the deformations area we know already. And now we come to the fog section, which also has some improvements since the first version. And because we now also have ground fog, and you can add it by just increasing the ground fog density, which is at 0 by default. So for example, if I type in 10, then as you can see, we already have ground fog, which is also animated. And you can change all the parameters like the ground fog scale, ground fog height, or the exact position, speed, the turbulence in the animation, like this or this. And you can even change the color if you want. And now we come to the lightways tab. With that, you can create customizable lightways without any volumetrics and without increasing render times. It's very easy. You can choose here between a constant lightway and dissolving lightway. I will show you right away what is the difference here, but for now we will add a constant lightway. And here you can already see it. Every lightway consists of a lamp and a volume. And it's very important that if you want to change the position of the lightway or scale it down, for example, then that you always select the lamp and not the volume, because the volume is parented to the lamp, and with the lamp you change both. And then you can place it wherever you want. So the cool thing is it gives you more artistic freedom. You can place lightways wherever you want, you can change the appearance how you want it, and it doesn't depend on a big light source. So let's place it to the window. And then here, rotate it a bit like this maybe, or even higher. Scale it a bit up like this, and then we can go to the render preview. It works with EV and cycles, and this is cycles. And then as you can see, we already have our lightway, and you can also change the light strength. So this one here, and also the volume strength separately. So you can make it just how you want it, and you can even change the color if you want, like this. And as said, it nearly doesn't affect rendering times because it works with an emission and not volume. So you don't need any fog in the scene, and the lightways are working completely independent from each other. You also have the ability that only the light is shown. So you can press this button, and as long as this is activated, the volumes are hidden. So this can be very helpful, especially for the solid mode, so that you don't have a block here all the time. So you can just press this button. And to show you the difference, here's the dissolving light ray. So as the name says, the light ray is basically dissolving at the end. This is more for larger scenes where the light gets visibly weaker with the distance. And then the dust particles we also discussed in the first video. So now we can go to the next section. In the cobwebs area, we also have some little improvements. So first of all, we have a delete button now, so you can delete the cobwebs directly from the panel if you want. And the second thing is that we can add now more than one cobweb curve. So for example, I click on add and add my cobweb. And if I go out of edit mode and click on add again, then we also have a second curve here, which we can use. So the cobwebs can be more easily separated because before it was like if I click on add again, then we just got into edit mode. But I think this is more useful. And if you want to expand a curve, then just go into edit mode like before and expand this cobweb. And we also have to select the right collection here, of course, so that the cobwebs are connected correctly to the object. And now we also have our convert selected to mesh button, and it does exactly what the name says. So till now we only have curves, and if you want you can now just click on this button. Then these curves are converted to static meshes, and this can be very useful if you want to export it or whatever. And then since version 1.2 we also have our moss generator. With that you can easily add moss to any object you want. And normally I would leave this toggle on. It's just so that the scaling of the object is applied before the moss is applied to the object, so that you won't face any issues with the instances. So then you can just select the object and click on add selected. And then as you can see, we already have our moss. And then you can go to the modifiers tab and change all the settings to your liking. So for example, I would put the general scale a bit down, then crank the density a bit up, and you can even control the viewport density separately. So if you don't want that the full density is shown in the viewport, then you can control it here. And you can also control the appearance of the moss. So you can either make it look very dry or very fresh. So in my case, I make it very dry, and look how nice it already looks. Then you can also change the regularity scale like this, or the growth regularity. So basically if you make this higher, then more of the object will be covered with moss. And then you also have some other settings. Another cool thing is that you can also simulate wind effects very easy. So for that I go to Eevee for now, and then just to show you it better, I crank the settings a bit up, maybe like this. And as you can see, we have now also wind effects on the moss. And you can also assign the moss to only specific parts of the object. So if you want to do it, then just deactivate the checkbox, select the object, then go to the data properties, create a new vertex group, then go into edit mode and select the vertices you want to be affected by. So in my case, I select the head, then I assign it, go out of edit mode, and I can also rename the group to moss, for example. And then I click here on this button and then select the moss vertex group. And then as you can see, we have the moss only assigned to the head. Or if you want, you could also do it with weight painting. And now let's come to the completely new section to bring your scenes more to life. You can now add moths, ants and spiders. So let's start with the moths first. First of all, before you add mods, make sure you have selected an object, because then this object will be automatically set as the follow leader for the mods. And that means that the mods will automatically follow this object. And this is very useful because mods normally gather around light sources and everything is here set up for you. So you don't have to do anything. Just select the object, then click on OK. And then, as you can see, there's automatically added an emitter under the object you have set. And if you then press play, then the mods will automatically fly around the object. And if I move now the object, then as you can see, the mods will follow this object. The object you selected also automatically got a collision modifier, so that the mods won't fly to the object. And if you have further objects, then you can add or remove further collision modifiers here. And if you delete the mods, then also the collision modifier of the object who was set as the follow leader will be deleted. So in this case, I delete these mods, and then here also the collision modifier is gone. And you can set it up for as many objects you want. So for example, I first select this one, add new mods, and then I select this one, add new mods, and both objects, here I have to go to 0 first. Yeah, both objects have its own mods. And every group has its own particle system, so you can just go to the particle settings and change the values here. So for example, if I want here more mods, then I can just do it. Then let's go to the ant section and add some ants. And as you can see, it's very simple, so you just have to click on the add button, and then you already have an ant army, which is also animated. And then you can click on it, go to the modifiers tab, and here you can see all settings you can change. So for example, we can change the position here, rotation, or the X size, Y size, and also the walking speed, like this. But keep in mind, this won't change the speed of the walk cycle of the ant, so it only changes how fast the ants will move. But if you don't make this value too extreme, then it won't be noticeable. Of course, you can also change the scaling of the ants and also the seed here. Yeah, and also the density, like this. Normally, the vertices setting, you can leave them as they are. You only need them if you use the surface function, and the higher these values are, the more precise the surface function can be. Because here, for example, if we add a landscape, scale it up like this maybe, not so high. And then if we select the ants and as the surface we now choose the landscape, then first of all, as you can see, it doesn't really work. And this is because we haven't applied the transforms yet. So what is very important, if you use an object, then you first have to click on apply transforms here, and then as you can see, it works like this. And that the surface function works correctly, it's very important that you don't change the location from the ants here. So always change the location or rotation here directly in the modifier, because otherwise it won't work anymore. So this always have to be 0, and here you can change all the settings, and then as you can see, it adapts in real time here like this. And another thing that is very important, you also have to apply all transform settings on the surface you choose. So for example, like here, if everything is at 0 and the scaling at 1, then it works correctly. But if I then move it, then as you can see, nothing changes here. And this is because the transform settings aren't applied yet. So I can go here to AgedFX and click on apply transforms. and then it works correctly again. But keep in mind that the surface function only works on plane surfaces, like a landscape for example. But if you want to use it on a 3-dimensional object like this one, it won't work correctly. So for example, if I choose this object here, then as you can see, it doesn't work really well, even if I also applied all transform settings. But yeah, it doesn't work. But for that, you can add a Shrinkwrap plane to the object, and it's very easy. You just have to select the object and then click on this button, and then the plugin automatically creates a plane, scales it to the right dimensions of the object, and also subdivides it, adds a Shrinkwrap modifier to it, and also choose the right target. So you just have to put it a bit higher then, so that everything is covered like this. And then click on Apply Transforms again. And after that, you can go back to the ends and select the plane as the new surface. And then as you can see, it works. And the plane is already deactivated for rendering. You can also deactivate it for the viewport if you want. And yeah, here we go. If it's like here and the object is very tilted and you add a Shrinkwrap plane to it, then it can happen that it doesn't work so well. In this case, just deactivate the Shrinkwrap modifier for the viewport and rotate it a bit, and then activate it again and put it a bit up and to the left maybe. And yeah, then it works, and after you adjusted it, you can apply the transforms. But keep in mind, make always these adjustments first before you apply the transforms, because the problem is if you apply all transforms, then also the origin point is at 0, and then it's not so easy anymore if you want to rotate it or something like that. And with the spiders, it works exactly the same, so I don't have to explain it here. It's also animated, and you can also change all settings in the modifier directly, and also select a surface and so on. Alright, then we are done. I really hope you liked the new features and improvements. It was a lot of work, so I hope everything will work fine for you, and then I see you soon.